What's up, my little flowers? Welcome back to hell, and welcome to a newer type of video. Now, we've talked about serious topics on this channel before, but this is a little different in that I'm not really here to give a big opinionated piece like I did with my dating video, my cultural appropriation video, or even my upcoming videos about LGBTQ+ in the industry and sexualization of minors in the industry. While I do present facts in those videos, I also tell you guys my overall opinion of the situation, but I can't really do that here. I mean, I'll definitely input my opinion from time to time, don't get me wrong, but this is basically just a video for any fan of K-pop that wants to know about the companies behind the groups without having to scour the internet for information. I'm just here to go over the history with you guys, and with that being said, note that there is no, and I mean absolutely no, way I can cover every single thing about this company or the groups in it in one video. I mean, I am one person, and this company was created before I was even born, so I try my best to get as much information as possible here, but know that yes, I might miss something here or there. This is not a 10-part docuseries sponsored by Netflix. If you guys do like this video though, I plan on making one for at least the big 3 or 4 companies, and I might even do others. It just depends. So I guess let's start with the first question some of you guys might have. Let's be real. Until recently, a large portion of the K-pop community, while they didn't love JYP Entertainment, definitely thought it to be the nicest and most humane out of the big 3. And we'll talk about why that is not true later in the video. But why am I starting with JYP? Why not SM or YG? They were both created before JYP, to be fair. Well, while in theory I could easily do any one of these first, I think JYP is the most interesting because if you ask me which of these big 3 companies are going to continue growing exponentially at an extremely fast rate, I would say JYP. Even though YG has Blackpink, one of the biggest girl groups on the planet, and SM has huge marketing potential with groups like NCT and aespa, once I tell you about JYP's past, you'll understand why they have such a big future. So sadly, before we get into the video, I have to mention that there's a few things that I just simply don't have the time to cover. I will not be covering the numerous scandals that the company or the members of a group have been in because that would seriously take me all day. That's a whole nother video that we can make on another day. I'm just gonna hit really big important ones that I kind of want to talk about personally. We will also not be talking about dating rumors or scandals because I think I covered my thoughts on that in my dating video just fine. And finally, while I will be giving background information and talking about some big moments and comebacks from each group, know that I won't be going super in depth simply because we don't have that time. I can always make separate videos about the groups at a later date. Now, on to our famous disclaimer. JYP Entertainment, please don't sue me. I'm merely presenting facts and dates about the company while interjecting some of my own opinions. I'm not here to defame the company, nor do I even think a small channel like me could. Please, I am very poor and also allowed to have an opinion, okay? I guess that's that. On to the actual video. So, what is JYP Entertainment? I mean, if you're on my channel, which is dedicated to K-pop, then I think you probably know who JYP Entertainment is. I mean, every K-pop fan does, but in case there's someone who doesn't know, I'll talk briefly about it. JYP is an entertainment company based in Seoul, South Korea. They're mainly known for managing K-pop artists, but they've actually branched into many other areas, which we'll cover a bit later. They're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and even though I couldn't find an exact amount, some sources, including Forbes, said that it was worth upwards of over $700 million as of 2020. We'll talk about later how they weren't always this successful and actually almost was not even a big 3 company. In fact, JYP Entertainment has recently surpassed even YG and SM to become the leading K-pop company, and they're projected to continue this success into future years. So I'll name a few groups under JYP: Stray Kids, Twice, ITZY, Day6, and many more that we are going to cover. So let's start covering that. Before we can even begin to get into JYP Entertainment, we have to first talk about its founder, JYP, or JY Park to be less confusing. Park Jin-young, known mainly as JY Park or JYP, was born on December 13th, 1971. We won't cover too much of his personal life because I know many of you do not care and do not particularly like him, but we'll cover some parts that I feel are important. One thing about his early life that I think we need to discuss is that he lived in America for a time. He moved there with his family when he was 9 and returned to Seoul to complete high school and Yonsei University. This is my personal opinion, but I think that was interesting to note because we'll later see JYP's severe want to branch out into the American market, and this actually leads to a few failed attempts that end up costing the company a lot of money. So what about his music career? When did he start that? Well, he had wanted to be an idol for a while, and we don't have to get into the serious details, but he pretty much was rejected at every turn. And it wasn't because of a lack of talent. Most sources claim it was actually because of his looks. He simply didn't fit the look of an idol group member. He even famously auditioned for SM Entertainment and was rejected, although Lee Soo-man, founder of SM, claims that, quote, "It's not that we didn't accept him, he just never came back." So, I don't know, do with that what you will. He did debut with a group called Park Jin-young and the New Generation around 1992, but that was also a failure. So he debuted again in 1994 with the song Don't Leave Me, where he was successful. He proceeded to release several more albums that were all decent in their success as well, to my knowledge, but in 1997, he did the big move. He founded JYP Entertainment. Well, not really. He founded Tae-hung Planning Corporation, which would be renamed JYP Entertainment later. I swear, if he would have kept that name, I would have cried. Imagine asking twice what label they're from and they say, Tae-hung Planning Corporation. That's absurd. The same year that JYP was founded, it also welcomed its first artist, a female solo artist named Pearl. There's not much I can say about her because it was kind of hard for me to find much about her at all. I mean, I don't know how successful she was, but whatever it was nowhere near enough to make a name for the company or make massive profits. And I believe she left the company just a few years after. In 1999, JYP would work on debuting a boy group. And while the group was not solely under JYP Entertainment, he did have a heavy hand in the group as a whole. The entertainment company Sidious HQ introduced him to the members of a boy group called Groove Overdose, or better known as GOD. The company Sidious HQ had been severely affected by the 1997 Asian financial crisis and had to cut funding for its trainees. But after a year, the group continued to try to debut, and now, with the help from JYP, a man recommended by executives as a producer and mentor, GOD would finally debut on January 13th of 1999. They were supposed to be named GOT6, but ultimately they changed the name to GOD after they were left with 5 members. You'll recognize this name as the inspiration for the name of a future JYP group, GOT7. GOD's debut was not successful and actually was not met with positive reviews, but after they released their second album, they did much better and managed to win their first ever #1 on a music program. But remember that they're still not officially under JYP Entertainment, so this would not affect the company's success much. JYP's first taste of success would come from an artist named RAIN, who became a trainee under JYP Entertainment in 2000 and debuted in 2002. In some ways, RAIN's story can be compared to JYP's own. RAIN also auditioned for many companies, but much like JY Park, he was rejected, not because of a lack of talent, but because of his looks. He was quoted as saying that he was repeatedly told that his singing and dancing was really great, but he didn't have double eyelids, so he was turned away. He was later brought into JYP Entertainment, probably because JYP saw much of himself in him at the time, and he would prove to be a decent success. I mean, if you didn't know, RAIN would go on to create his own company, so yeah, there are definitely some parallels, although I think the general public likes RAIN a lot more. RAIN wasn't just popular in South Korea, he was big in all of Asia, selling over 1 million copies of his third studio album, It's Raining, in 7 Asian countries. He's been established as one of the top musical acts in Southeast Asia. He would leave JYP in 2007 to start J-Tune Entertainment, the company that I mentioned he created earlier. JYP debuted its first boy group called Noel in 2002, but they never really gained popularity while under JYP. Then JYP Entertainment focused on the brother duo 1-2 in 2003, but also, yet again, was met with minimal success. In 2004, the group GOD that I mentioned earlier signed an official contract with JYP. Over the course of the years 2000 to 2005, JYP would debut a few more artists, most notably Park Ji-yoon, Byul, Lim Jong-hee, Ranga, I don't know how to say that, and I have no idea who that is, and ITZY. But again, all were met with minimal success. At this point, JYP Entertainment was not proving to be a successful company and was actually extremely poor, with RAIN being the only artist to really generate a decent revenue, at least according to the sources that I looked at. But all of this would change in May of 2006, with the invention of JYP's first girl group. This girl group's name was the Wonder Girls. They were introduced through a reality TV show called MTV Wonder Girls. The first 4 episodes introduced the first 4 girls, who were Sunyi, Hyuna, yes, that Hyuna that was later in 4 Minute and is now a solo artist, who we talked about in the dating video, Sohee and Sunmi. The 5th member, Yi-eun, by the way, I'm probably butchering everyone's name, she was chosen on the show through auditions. The show must have been successful because it ran for 4 seasons all the way to 2010. They officially debuted in 2007 2001 with the album The Wonder Begins, which sold 11,454 physical copies. The members would then start showcasing in China, but by later that year, they were met with health setback after setback. Sohee would be out of the group for a month after she tore her knee ligament. The 4 other girls would continue to perform until a month later, Hyuna was removed from the group by her parents, who were worried about her chronic stomach issues and fainting spells. Later that year, Good Entertainment would send their trainee Yubin as a replace for Hyuna. Quickly after, they released their first full-length album, The Wonder Years, which was a pretty big success, with dances from it going viral. There's a lot more I could talk about related to the Wonder Girls, but again, this is a JYP Entertainment video, not a Wonder Girls video, so I'll hit one of the most important parts. In early fall of 2008, the song that would change the industry was released. Their hit song, Nobody, hit the charts at number 1 and stayed there. They won award after award after award. Song of the Year, Best Music Video, Best Female Group, highest digital sales at the Golden Disc Awards. They even won the Day Song, Artist of the Year award that year. By the end of that year, they had earned 12 billion won, or $9 million in US money. This was a huge break for JYP Entertainment. In March of 2009, they would take that success to the next level when it was decided that an English version of Nobody would be released in order to pursue a career in the American market. It charted at number 76 on the Billboard Hot 100, making them the first Korean group to ever do so. And here's a fun fact for you that even I didn't know. Their success would lead them to sign a management deal with the Jonas Group. Yeah, like the Jonas Brothers. And they even went to open on the Jonas Brothers World Tour. And this next thing is probably going to be the last thing I mention about them, even though I could talk about their impact and success for hours. In 2010, JYP announced that Sunmi would be postponing her career to pursue academics, and she would be replaced by Haerim, a trainee. This would ultimately negatively affect the group's success in America, as Sunmi's departure caused the tour to be delayed, and the all-English album was entirely scrapped. Now, we're going to go back to 2008 really quick to talk about another group that helped put JYP on the map. In 2008, a competitive reality show called Hot Blood Men would be created and pitted 2 male trainee groups against each other to try to debut. The group One Day won the show and was then split into 2AM and 2PM. 2AM was signed with Big Hit Entertainment and JYP jointly, and 2PM was signed with just JYP. 2PM stuck out from other boy groups of the time because they were one of the first to have a tough image instead of the traditional pretty boy groups. They're credited for creating the Beast idol image in Korea. J-Bomb was the group's leader, and if you don't recognize him yet, many of you will soon. 2PM was decently successful, and while I won't get into the details because there are a lot, like way too many to discuss, just know that they were pretty popular during the time, winning multiple awards, charting pretty high, and appearing on variety shows. But they would be faced with a controversy in 2009 when the leader, J-Bomb's past MySpace post would come to surface. He was originally from America and expressed his dislike for Korea while he was a trainee. I won't get too much into this, but many sources said that the issue was blown way out of proportion, and I don't really know enough about that to give my opinion, but netizens wanted him out of 2PM. But weirdly enough, JYP himself stated that he would stand by his artist, which is a complete far cry from what we see him and the company do to their artists today. But nonetheless, he wanted J-Bomb to stay with the group. J-Bomb, however, said he was going to leave the group and return to America. He apologized to his members and said that he wanted to come back a better person. We'll have a brief aside here to say that if you didn't already know, J-Bomb would later return as J-Park. K-hip-hop fans will probably know him, and most of you guys will know him now as starting his own label where he's signed 2 of the previous GOT7 members, which we'll get into later. This man really left JY-Park in the dust and came back just to take his name, JY-Park, J-Park, and make a company just to steal his artist. That's a success story. How the tables have tabled. I know for a fact that J-Park is JYP's sleep paralysis demon, like hands down. Anyways, back to 2PM. They were very successful, but like I said, I can't possibly cover all that mess. So to sum it up, pretty much, JYP was still not a big 3 company, but the company was set up for success now that they had 2 artists, a boy group and a girl group with massive potential. In late 2008, JYP opened the JYP Beijing Center as their China branch. That same year, creative artist agencies would include JYP in their clientele. JYP would then begin to dip into drama production. The company established the TV production company Holim. I'm so sorry for that pronunciation. It was created in 2009 and announced its first production, Dream High, in 2010. In March of 2010, JYP joined a joint venture with SM, YG, Star Empire, Media Line, Can Entertainment, and Music Factory to create KMP Holdings, the official distributor of releases that came from these companies. In late 2010, it was announced that JYP was the biggest shareholder of JYP Entertainment, RAIN's agency. Now, there's a lot of confusing stuff to cover when it comes to Miss A, and I'm gonna skip a lot, so be warned, but they're a very interesting group as they're often left out of people's mind when they think of JYP girl groups. I mean, normally people name the Wonder Girls, Twice, and now ITZY, but hardly ever Miss A, so what's up with them? Miss A was going to be the first multi-ethnicity group from JYP, I guess is the best way to put it. They were going to be comprised of Korean and Chinese members, basically being formed to be what would be referred to as the Chinese Wonder Girls. Miss A debuted in Korea as a 4-member girl group with the single Bad Girl, Good Girl. They received first place on KBS Music Bank and became the fastest girl group to take the #1 spot on a music show. The song did really well and stayed at #1 for 4 weeks straight, breaking the previous record set by Girls' Generation. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about all their awards because again, there's like a lot. These girls were big, and they even found success in China after they debuted there as well. They were yet another first for JYP Entertainment, who now, after having acts like RAIN, the Wonder Girls, 2PM, and Miss A, were finding very decent success. In November of 2011, JYP would fuck up, and pretty hard at that. They established a US branch of JYP and invested $1.2 million in American currency into the branch. Ultimately, America was not having it. K-pop was not successful in the West during this time, and JYP was a few years early to the K-pop party that would later overtake the US market. The company saw a net loss of over $1.5 million, which was more loss than they even put into the branch to begin with. It was a fuck ton of money to lose, basically, and drained the company by a lot more than we often realize. JYP ultimately liquidated the branch and closed all US operations. In 2012, Park Jimin placed first on the reality show Kpop Star. She had the choice of the big 3 companies YG, SM, and JYP to sign with, and she ultimately chose JYP. She would then debut with Yerin as 15 and, a duo act. They had some success, of course, but nothing huge that I really need to talk about here. I do encourage you to look into them on your own time, though. It's pretty interesting. Most of you guys will probably recognize Park Jimin now by the name Jamie, where she's the co-host of the popular variety show After School Club. GOT7 was JYP's first boy group since 2PM's debut, and their formation was almost formulaic to their future success. As many fans will say, the Wonder Girls and 2PM created JYP. GOT7 and Twice would take the company to unprecedented heights. GOT7 was formed with, you guessed it, 7 members, but they were interesting in the fact that they had a few foreign members, with Mark being from the US, Bam Bam from Thailand, and Jackson Wang from China. But interestingly enough, GOT7 was never supposed to be GOT7. JB and Jin Young, then known by the stage name Junior, debuted as actors in Dream High 2, and then as the pop duo, JJ Project. Mark, Jackson, Bam Bam, and Yoongyum prepared to debut together as a separate group. JYP would later debut them all as a group, and added Youngjae as the 7th and final member. The original name of the group was going to be GET7, but thankfully that mess was changed to GOT7. They drew a lot of attention even before debut, as people saw them as the next 2PM. They did well on their debut. The album shot to #1 on the Billboard World Albums chart and #2 on the Gaon album chart. Now, I don't really think I need to explain who GOT7 is, and I couldn't possibly begin to do it justice here. Just know these things. GOT7 was massively successful for JYP and brought in, alongside Twice, the majority of the revenue for the company. They even brought in more money than Stray Kids, which might be new information to newer K-pop fans. But even though all of this is true, GOT7 was notoriously mistreated by JYP, and I absolutely do not have the time to get into that, but I would love to make a whole video about just GOT7 because they really were treated like shit by the company, even though they brought in the most money. To name a few things, they weren't promoted well at all, and they were never protected. For example, rumors were never pursued through legal action by the company, and it even went so far as the company not saying anything when the members were being harassed and stalked by obsessive fans, even going so far as to show up at their house. JYP did nothing yet again. The boys handled it themselves. And while Stray Kids are known to be a self-producing group, GOT7 was not given that same thing. Now, Stray Kids has been mistreated on their own ways, and we'll get into that, but GOT7 is known to have brought JYP songs that they made, and he would listen to it for literally 5 seconds before denying the entire song. It's ridiculous, but we'll talk about this more in a separate video. After 2AM's contract with Big Hit ended, 3 of them returned to JYP, while Lee Changmin stayed at Big Hit. JYP then sold the company building for $7 million. Now, here, JYP just gets real wild and really out there. I mean, they signed a contract with a coconut product company. Yeah, you heard me right. JYP specializes in coconut products. I don't know. We've lost the original plot of the movie. I don't know where we're at. Day 6 was initially a 5-member band called 5 Live, but in mid-2015, Dowon joined the group and they were renamed Day 6. The band stood out as they weren't necessarily a boy group the way that past ones had been. They were a rock group. Day 6 released their debut EP, The Day, with the lead single Congratulations on September 7th, 2015, marking that debut. The album charted at number 2 on Billboard's World Album Chart a week following its release. On February 27th, 2016, JYP Entertainment said that Jun Hyuk left the band due to personal reasons and terminated his contract with the company. Day 6 remained as a 5-member band. Again, I don't really need to explain too much about Day 6, but know that they've won their fair share of awards, but they've always been kind of underrated and never really the main focus of JYP, who in the same year would debut the group that would really make them, Twice. Again, I would love to make a whole video on Day 6, as they do genuinely deserve better, as do all JYP groups, as they are never necessarily treated the best. In 2013, JYP announced a new girl group. You guessed it, their name was Twice 6 Mix. Yes, exactly. 6 Mix was supposed to debut, but their debut was cancelled after Lena and Cecilia left the company. On February 11th of 2015, JYP announced that the lineup of the upcoming 7-member girl group would be decided through 16. A competitive survival show. Now, I will be making a whole video about this shit show at a later date, so trust me when I say that I am really just giving you a bare minimum summary of this. This show was a fucking mess. I mean, it was straight up abusive, and we will be talking about how it put 13, 14, and 15-year-old girls in very sexual positions during my upcoming video in a few weeks about sexualization of minors in the K-pop industry. I literally have never been able to finish watching this show because it just gives me the ick. Like, you want literal children to be in shorts shoved so far up their crotch, it's insane? Watch 16. You want to watch young girls cry and be exploited for said crying? Watch 16. You want to watch literal children be told they aren't good enough, not because they aren't talented, but because they're boring as people? Watch 16. You want to watch a young girl get told she's fat, even though by American standards she's severely underweight? Watch 16. It's actually disgusting, and I promise that we'll talk about it in a video soon. But for now, let's just skip to the end. The original lineup was 7 members, but they eventually added Chewie, who is known as the audience's pick, since she was the most popular contestant by the show's end, and Momo, who was added by JYP, since he felt the group needed someone with Momo's performance abilities. The decision was controversial at the time, with many people complaining about eliminated contestants being able to join the group. Twice debuted in 2015 with the song Like Ooh Ah. While this song is iconic now, it was met with moderate success at the time. The song ended up being promoted by fans better than the company, leading it to peak at number 10 on the Gaon digital charts 3 months after its initial release. Twice would go on to make hit after hit. I mean, I think most of you know this, but they would then release Cheer Up, which was a massive success. By the end of the year, Twice would become the first girl group having a sales record of more than 100,000 units that year. The song would then become a meme in Korea due to the Shy 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 line by Sana. Eventually, the song became the best performing single in South Korea for the entirety of 2016. Again, I would love to make a whole video about the journey of Twice's success because they've done so much that I can't possibly fit it all in here, but just know that they're easily one of the biggest girl groups in history, and everything they touch is pretty much gold. Since GOT7 has now left JYP, I would bet that Twice is definitely bringing in the most money for the company currently. The label announced its plans to produce localized acts aiming at both the Chinese and Japanese markets in early 2018. Boy Story was the first group formed under this strategy. I won't focus on them too much, but they're aimed at the Chinese market and they are young, and I mean young, like children. On July 1st, 2017, JYP acquired a property worth 20.2 billion Korean won, US $18 million, to be used for its new office. A partnership with Dailymotion, which is Europe's largest video platform, was also signed to open its artist channel on its platform to secure a more global fan base. In the first half of 2018, JYP became the second largest entertainment company in South Korea, when their total market capitalization surpassed YG Entertainment, largely due to the success of Twice and GOT7. It was the first time that this would ever happen for JYP. On March 26, 2018, JYP debuted a new boy group called Stray Kids, named after the 2017 reality show of the same name. Now, I know damn well almost all of you guys know who Stray Kids are, so again, we are not spending a large portion of time on this because I feel like this is getting long, and I mainly needed to explain the earlier groups, not the current ones. In August 2017, JYP Entertainment officially announced the agency's new reality survival show to launch a male idol debut project. Now, it should be noted that the show was also kind of hard to watch. I mean, no one wants to watch potential idols cry and practically be abused. Two members, Lino and Felix, were eliminated from the group, but in the end, ultimately, all 9 members ended up in the final lineup. JYP announced the release of the group's pre-debut EP titled Mixtape. It was met with success yet again. It debuted at number 2 on Gowon's album chart and Billboard's World Albums chart. I mean, we're at the point where JYP is at today. Pretty much any group they debut are gonna do well because everyone is looking forward to another group made by JYP. They officially debuted with the release of their EP titled I Am Not, along with the music video of its title track titled District 9. I Am Not debuted at number 4 on Gowon's album chart and sold over 54,000 physical copies in March. The group earned their first music show win on April 4th, 2019 on M Countdown for their new album's lead single, Miro. Now, I've talked about a lot during this video, and I mention pretty much any time a member leaves a group, so I know many of you are probably wondering if I'm going to talk about Woojin, and no. I can't even begin to cover that story in justice in this video. Woojin deserves a video by himself to explain his situation, and I don't really feel like making one for 2 reasons. This is a bit of a tangent, so I'm going to make it really fast. Reason number 1 being, I think that there are many good videos out there about his situation, and so there's no need for me to make one when I follow many YouTubers who have made really good ones that describe it through a factual and unbiased lens. I just feel like, you know that saying that's don't beat a dead horse? That saying is so horrific, but anyway, most of you guys probably know that saying. I feel like if I released a video on that topic, unless new information about him or his personal statement about anything is brought forward, like I really don't think I can add anything that hasn't already been said. And number 2, I just physically can't talk about his situation because it includes allegations of sexual harassment, and I cannot bring myself to talk about that. I believe he was proved innocent of those charges, by the way. I'm gonna throw that out there to let you guys know, but to talk about that, I would have to talk about the allegations against him in the first place, and I just can't. It's nothing against him, I promise, so like don't worry, it's nothing against him, but every time I try to talk about it, like even with my friends, I'll start crying, because talking about anyone's allegations, not just his, literally anyone's, brings up memories of my own experience. I have personal experiences with being sexually assaulted multiple times, so I hope you guys can understand why I'm, not really comfortable talking about this or any other case at this time. Okay, that got depressing and a bit much. I mean, it's a JYP video. Let me chill out. Alright, let's get back to the actual video. Stray Kids continues to grow, and they are well on their way to being one of the most successful and experimental K-pop boy groups of all time. I mean, I don't really think I need to comment on them. I love the group, and they're doing better and better each year. A bit about them pre-debut. Chaeyoung was a contestant on 16 in 2015, the show that formed Twice, but she ultimately didn't make it into the final cut. In 2017, Yoona and Ryujin appeared in BTS's Love Yourself highlight reel, which I didn't even realize until I went back and watched them again. That's absolutely insane. I mean, the girls are there. In 2017, all of the members except Leah were in the Stray Kids reality TV show. And in 2018, Ryujin was a contestant on Mix 9. She ranked first against the girls, but lost to the boys overall. On February 12th, the group released their debut single, It's Different, with the lead single, Dalla Dalla. The group scored one of the biggest Billboard debuts for a new K-pop act in years. Dalla Dalla entered at number 3 and peaked at number 2 on the World Digital Song Sales chart. The debut sold 2,000 downloads in the US for the week ending February 14th, according to Nielsen Music, making it the best-selling K-pop song in America that week. Dalla Dalla also debuted as the second most popular song on YouTube. Billboard confirmed that the music video had surpassed 17.1 million views within 24 hours of its release and broke the record for the most viewed K-pop debut music video within 24 hours. On February 21st, 8 days after their debut, ITZY received their first music show win on M Countdown and became the fastest girl group to achieve their first music show win. The song went on to win 9 music show wins. Dalla Dalla also broke the record at the time for the fastest K-pop debut music video to reach 100 million views on YouTube. So yeah, we can see how much influence ITZY will have in the future and just how much JYP has grown. Like, now they release a group and they're an immediate success. On January 29, 2019, JYP announced their plans of creating a Japanese girl group under the previous globalization by localization tactic. This project was eventually dubbed as NiziU Project, NiziU, sorry for the pronunciation. A survival documentary series featuring 20 contestants was aired weekly on Hulu Japan from January 31st to June 26th of 2020 and distributed internationally through JYP's official YouTube channel. On the final episode of NiziU Project, the finalized lineup for the new girl group, which was their given name, NiziU, again sorry for the pronunciation, was revealed to the public. They made their official Japanese debut on December 2nd of 2020. On July 24th of 2019, JYP announced that they would be closing their acting division, and some of their actors would be moving to NPIO Entertainment, a startup company created by JYP's vice president. So that leaves us, where are we at today? How are the groups? Well, pretty much all of you guys probably know about JYP Entertainment, considering that GOT7, Twice, Stray Kids, and ITZY are 4 of the biggest acts right now currently. As far as those 4 specific groups go, of course GOT7 recently disbanded this year, early in January I believe of 2021, but they went on to do solo projects and they got to keep the name GOT7 and they're going to work together in the future again, so pretty much everyone's just supporting them on their solo platforms, so I encourage you to do that if you really like them. As far as Twice goes, they're of course still under JYP Entertainment, and like I said earlier, probably the group bringing in the most amount of money because they are huge. I mean, it's a huge group, and I think Twice is only going to continue growing and their success is not slowing down anytime soon. As far as Stray Kids goes, I feel like their success is only going to get bigger and bigger. It is definitely the definition of exponential success. I think exponential, that's the right word, yeah. They were recently on Kingdom, which was a really good show. If you guys want to watch it, I might make a video talking about it. I highly recommend it. ATEEZ was on there as well. They were really good. A bunch of super good groups were on it, so check that out. But Stray Kids continues with each comeback and every day to gain more and more fans, so they're only going to continue growing. And as we covered with ITZY, their debut was huge. All of their comebacks have been huge, especially this most recent one, Mafia in the Morning. It's huge, and I think ITZY is going to become a huge girl group, but in a different way than Twice. Of course, Twice and ITZY have completely different concepts, but I think ITZY will be just as big in the future. Give them a little bit and they're gonna get on Twice level, because they really have the special thing, and I think a bunch of people can tell. So that's my opinion on this. That's why I say that JYP Entertainment is not slowing down. They are the one out of the big 3 companies that I can see going on for many, many more years. I believe, honestly, that all of the 3 big companies are probably going to continue their success, but JYP's success seems to keep growing. They're making more money, they're getting bigger, they're creating bigger and better artists that have more followers. It's absolutely insane, and I don't think they plan on slowing down at any time. On August 4th of 2020, JYP announced its collaboration with SM to establish Beyond Live Corporation, which does virtual concerts. We've watched a lot of them over the pandemic. Later in 2020, there was an interview with Forbes released on August 31st where JY Park shared that there were talks for a girl group competition show based in America that was similar to 16 and the NiziU project. So we'll see how that goes. I hope that's not true, not because I, don't want an American show or, I don't want another reality show. I just feel like JYP Entertainment and all of these companies, to an extent, when they do these reality, survival shows, it makes for good entertainment, but, it's literally abuse in almost every situation. Like, I always end up feeling bad for someone. It's especially for girl groups. It's god awful for girl groups, especially when they're as young. Like I said, we'll make a video talking about 16 later. So what's my opinion on the future of JYP Entertainment? What do I think about the groups that are currently in it or currently going to come from it? Well, if I'm being honest, none of us really love these companies, you know. Like, I don't know, are there any company stans in the chat? Let me know. Do you guys stan JYP Entertainment? I overall think most K-pop fans realize that these companies, they've figured out the formula. This isn't just JYP, by the way. This is all companies, but this is a JYP video, so I'll talk about it here as well. These companies have really figured out the formula to create these groups that we love and to present these idols that we really love. But at the end of the day, I think the majority of us know that these companies are in it probably almost 99% of the time for money. There are very few companies that aren't about money at the end of the day, because that's a company's purpose, is to make money, clearly. A lot of times we'll see the ways that these idol groups are treated and we just kind of push it under the rug, and that's a whole nother video that I plan on making one day. I do not have the time to talk about it here. I'm so sorry. Overall, my personal opinions, keep in mind this is my personal opinion. I'm not trying to present this as a fact. It's my opinion. My personal opinion on JYP Entertainment is I don't think that they're the worst entertainment company in terms of treating their idols well. I don't think they're the worst, but they're also not even in the running for best. Like I said at the very beginning of the video, I think a lot of us for a long time believed that they were the most humane out of the companies. But if you really look into it, and like I said, we'll make a video about it, they really aren't. No company is, because companies are, at the end of the day, like soulless corporations that are not meant to be like humane, especially in this industry, and it really depresses me. At the end of the day, as much as I despise the company, keep in mind I hate almost every single company. I don't like companies much. At the end of it all, as much as I dislike the company and dislike the way that a company is set up or the way that they train their idols, as far as the idols under the company goes, I genuinely love these idols, and I think that they are genuine people. I know a lot of times we don't see the behind the scenes of these people. At the end of the day, I made this video purely to educate some people who might not know a lot about the company behind the groups that they love, for any new K-pop fans or anyone that just enjoys watching my videos or listening to me talk. I'm absolutely not making this video or any video in this series, if I continue to make them, to glorify the company or paint them as, look, they started in humble beginnings and now they're doing really well. Isn't that such a cool success story? And like, we should root for the company. I absolutely don't think that or say that. I kind of hate almost every single company. It's very rare that you'll find a company that I genuinely like and think is good all the way around. Almost every company has a flaw, because they're companies. That's what they're built for. They're built to make money. They're built to exploit their artists as much as they can to make the money, and that's the hard truth of it. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but idols are mistreated constantly, and a lot of times we don't even see that mistreatment, and it really fucking sucks, but that's the industry that it is, and that's a whole nother video that I can make talking about that. As much as I hate these companies, I do think JYP Entertainment manages to create and introduce us to some of the best, nicest, and most humble and human people. But JYP Entertainment just seems to know how to present an idol as human. You know, I would say they're very much like Big Hit Entertainment in that regard. They know how to make their idols appear as like average, everyday, ordinary people. And I mean, most companies do that pretty well, but JYP really manages to make their artists stay humble. And there's not a lot of other companies that can keep that same energy or say that same thing. And I guess that'll be the video. I mean, this video took a lot longer to edit than I thought it was going to. I'm adding this end piece like days after I recorded the other part. I think almost a week after I recorded the other part. It's insane how long this video has taken to edit, so I hope you guys really like it. At the end of it, it's not my favorite video I've ever made, actually. I'm kind of disappointed with it, but I'm really hard on myself anyway, so, I hate everything I make and everything I do, so that's just that. That's par for the course. But I hope you guys liked it. It took a long time to research and write the script and to record it and to put it all together and edit it, and a lot longer than I thought, so I'm sorry for the wait. We'll have another video coming out soon, tomorrow or the next day, and it's going to be a commentary over episode 2 of Boys Over Flowers, and then after that we will have the May 2021 K-pop song reviews coming out, and then we'll have the ranking every single BTS song ever since they recently had a comeback with Butter. We will be doing all that in the next week, so I'm really trying to crank out the videos here. So I wish I had a community tab to keep you guys up to date with that. I always feel so bad. Of course, I have an Instagram and a Twitter that you can follow. I have it in the beginning of every single video, my username on all of those, but I feel like not a lot of people go and do that, or at least if they do, I don't know if they're from my YouTube channel or not, so I don't really post stuff about my YouTube channel on there, so I can't really keep in touch with you guys, and I kind of hate that the community tab is saved for people with only 1,000 subscribers and up, because even though I only have, how many of you guys are there, like a little over 400, that's still enough people that I want to be like, hey, I'm not ignoring the channel, I'm working on a video, I swear, it's just taking a long time and I have no way to tell you. So again, I apologize for taking a while on that, but thank you guys so much for your patience, and thank you so much for liking my videos and everything that I make. I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.